The more I was reading, the more I was screw facing. The more my heart was getting heavy, and I was like, I can't actually believe this is what I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like, how does it even make sense?
Can I also add, what UK and the USA have done often is when these bills are passed in other countries, like the Middle East, they'll be like, yeah, we need to go protect them, and they'll go and bomb them. So who's going to come and do that for us?
I should repeat that one.
That's actually what they do. They utilize these bills as a way to go through and set up a military base camp and then hurt civilians, and then they'll be like, that's an outright disgusting show off.
They talk about other countries.
That's
a very,
and
very
then they
good
just
point.
switch the narrative when it comes to them.
Face your front.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say, because the UK actually, roses really smell like poo. That's what I'm gonna say, because it's actually BS. Like, I've had enough.
Hi everyone, I'm Serena.
I'm Shreya.
I'm Samia.
And I'm Naima, and welcome back to another episode of Untold. It's been a while, so first of all, guys, how have your weeks been?
It's been a difficult week on various levels, like which we're going to talk about, but I'm sure we've all seen the terrible things going on in media. We've got International Women's Day, and then we've got Women's History Month, and we've got the horrible killings of women and all the horrible things happening, and then just generally horrible things happening in the world as we speak. But yeah, so it's just been one of those weeks where I've just felt like, oh, what can be done? But in other news, war has happened. Anything fun? I got stopped by the police on my way back from Scotland.
Why?
Apparently
We're in lockdown.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that wasn't why.
is that the reason?
That wasn't why, because I had a valid reason to travel, because I actually have I had work there anyway. But the reason why they stopped me was because apparently I was swerving and I was about to hit the curb, but I wasn't, because I was in the right lane and it made no sense. They were like, "Were you drunk?" And I was like, "I don't drink," for religious reasons. I just had to throw it in there.
So that they believe you.
Yeah, they did. And I was like, "You can breathalyze," and they're like, "No, it's okay. No, it's okay." And they let me go. But that has been my week.
Speaking of the police, I had the police come to my door.
What? Wait, again, or was this the last?
No,
time?
so it's been
Okay.
twice since I moved into my flat. But you just reminded me that obviously, the police were at my house. 4 of them. I was having lasagna and a glass of wine with my bubble.
Right.
And the neighbours called the police on me.
Right.
It was Saturday and it was 6:30 in the evening.
Okay.
Wow.
She's racist, whoever the...
Oh my gosh, I saw who I suspect it was. I saw them today when I was like taking the rubbish out. It was a black man.
No.
Stop.
The whole story.
It changed the whole narrative. I was expecting a Karen.
He could still be a Karen.
No, he's got a different name now. It's not Karen.
What do you call these? I don't know. There's no name.
Michael.
Uncle Tom.
Oh, Uncle Tom. I'm sorry, Michael.
But I was literally so like, it was literally just like a glimpse, and then I saw the flat that he went into, and I was like, why?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, if it is, I suspect it is him that's been calling the police on me.
So
He
what did
hates
you possibly report? Sorry.
This is the thing, like, there was 4 police guys at my door.
4?
Okay.
And
I'm
they've got
really-
nothing to do, that's why they were all at my house.
I wonder
That's
what you
crazy.
reported.
Ridiculous.
But do you know what's mad? Is that there's actually a lot of stuff happening that, like, for example, what did they say with the whole rape case? They said, oh, if police investigated all rape cases, they'd be overwhelmed. Yeah, but
you can stand in front of statues and you can come to my door.
Yeah, if they took the police from Naima's door, maybe there would have been one more case solved.
Yeah.
It's not even funny, it's
4
true.
men.
Well, 3 men and 1 woman. The woman was the one who came into my flat and searched the property to check.
searched.
No, what did you report?
No,
Because
sorry, searched.
They said I was having a party, which was a breach of COVID, when there was 3 of us in the flat. I opened the door in my slippers and tracksuit, and I was cooking lasagna. I was like, "Do you want a slice?" I was literally so baffled.
And did she say yes?
No, they just laughed. She was like, "Is there any reason why, like, your neighbours called the police on you?" And I was like, "Well, it's happened before."
Yeah. Do you know what? They should have this on record, so they would have seen that they've gone to your house several times from the same person calling, and there's nothing
And
to
it's not
be
been an
there. So
issue,
hopefully
yeah.
in the future they
But you
won't
can actually
be.
report him at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harassment.
Yeah.
I wrote an angry note, and one of my and put it up because there's 6 of us in the building, and one of my neighbours got me Bucks Fizz and a card.
was a really cute note.
And she just said,
Is that
"No,
guilt?
I don't know why we can't."
Huh?
You never know.
I know, I don't think it was her because she said, even in the thing, she said if it was an issue with noise, like, I don't know why we can't just talk because I've not before when your music's been a bit too loud and you turned it off straight away. So,
That's the first logical step.
like, why would you jump to calling the police?
Because
That's
he's
weird.
Uncle Tom.
It's so
It's
mad.
changed the whole story now that.
When I forgot to tell you guys, when I saw him, I was like, no way.
Report him next time for harassment.
So yeah, anyway,
Wow.
what about everyone else?
So yeah.
Same old, pretty boring. The only thing I'm going to say, I'm looking forward to when lockdown ends. And that's, I'm saying that every day now, so. yeah.
Honestly.
Well, that was, yeah, apparently it might be extended.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not
I
surprised,
refuse.
but till when?
Yeah, furloughs until September.
Yeah, but that was always going to be like the thing because we do need a buffer even after we're
Yeah.
released. But I read
The language.
when we're free. But I saw something. I read something about Tory like MPs are going against Boris because apparently he wanted to extend lockdown by potentially 6 months.
Lord, give
Six,
me
all the
mercy.
way until this, as in 2022.
I'm not missing another summer.
Do you know
I
what?
refuse.
The amount of skincare I've bought and the amount of clothes that show love skin I've bought have to be worn.
I'm so
I've
finished.
got clothes piled up ready.
Yeah.
They're waiting to be seen by the world.
Yeah.
They can't be seen in winter.
No.
I'll freeze and die.
The thing is, what I've learned about myself during this lockdown is I don't like living in the UK, and I think I had that in the back of my mind already, but this has confirmed it, and I think the only thing that kept me here, the only thing that kept me sane is that summer's coming.
Yeah.
Every year I was like, summer's coming. And now with the fear that summer won't be here, and I just think, I'm like, this was
Summer's
the
not coming.
only, yeah, this was the only thing that was giving me hope. This was the
Jesus,
only
the fear that summer's not coming.
It's very much real because in winter, like, it's mad, and I'm just like, okay, it's gonna be fine, and it might not be.
It's like we thought it was coming home, but it never came home.
It never came.
I actually really thought it was.
I really thought it was coming
I
home
didn't.
too. I was part of the crowd. I used to go to pubs and watch.
Yeah, I watched almost every game in the pub.
Yeah,
Wow.
every
That was
game.
amazing.
And then when they got to whatever level they got to, everybody was outside in Friar Street and they were walking down screaming, coming home as part of that.
I was in London because there was one game that happened over Wireless Weekend. So I remember I
I
watched.
think there was that one.
Yeah. I think maybe it was against Sweden. I want to say. I think it was Sweden, and literally we were stopping buses. It was sick.
Yay, everybody was out and everybody was screaming, it's coming home, and I was like, yes, coming home.
Retreat Brit.
Yeah, I really embraced my Britishness.
Yeah.
I think it was a good example of Britain being humbled again. Because the audacity.
We even created a slogan, no other country did.
No.
That's
Yeah,
We
the
didn't-
song.
no, we
That's
didn't create
actually
that
them.
year though. It's an old thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a song. It was a song. It's coming home.
No, but
It's
even like the
coming
thing is,
home.
when, I don't even know when it is. Like,
That was
when
the
we
tune that I
last-
was singing it at. That wasn't how I was singing it.
That's how you were meant to be singing it.
We haven't won a World Cup in like years, not even in my lifetime. So for them to think, right, they were going to win it now, no, their track record.
If you can
Yeah.
believe it, you can achieve
No,
it.
you
We're about to contradict everything we preach.
Yeah.
Please be careful.
That's like,
can't. She said, no, you can't. No, you can't. Wait, you can't just no. I'm not going to. I'm not out here saying if you believe you can do. You need to learn. You need to practice. You need to have the talent. You need to do everything else.
Yeah.
But
I think
it doesn't
believe,
have
but
that.
you have to believe to start.
Yeah, believing's the start.
Yeah.
But we
When
were
they
just
stop
we were
there-
at the start. We're thinking it's coming home.
They
Just
stopped
stop
out with
believing.
Great Britain. That's when they stopped.
Yeah.
I think they did all right. I mean, I don't know football that well, but I enjoyed the show.
no, I really did. I was really upset when they didn't get through.
Yeah.
I felt
It,
it.
I felt the atmosphere as well.
Yeah.
I was in the pub for that game as well.
Yeah.
It was palatable. You
Yeah.
could
You could
feel-
almost touch it.
Yeah, I genuinely thought one of my friends was gonna cry. Like he looked.
Yeah.
It's really serious for them.
Yeah, I was in London.
Very
I think we
serious.
watched it with all the people from work, from my internship. We
Yeah, I watched it
together.
with
They
white
booked
people.
They booked a whole thing at the pub, so we were all there with food, and it was really upsetting.
It was actually like a movie.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
Guys, you missed a really good summer.
The sadness.
Yeah.
That was a lit summer.
I was watching it even on holiday.
I was. I was watching it in different countries
Yeah.
and supporting whichever country I was in, just so I didn't get attacked.
Wow.
Is that when you were training.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amazing.
that was a great summer.
It was a great summer. This is what I'm talking about. I look forward to the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing to look forward to now.
There is
What?
the weather.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to be better than this.
Yeah.
It's getting better already, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like spring. I'm in a springy mood. Like, I am very much.
Just have to close the window.
Yeah, but you have. That's a big yeah.
I actually asked for a general consensus, and everyone agreed that they were cold.
Yeah, but it's spring. Like during the during daytime, it's
March.
The sun is out,
It's
and it's
spring.
nice to see from inside.
But it's
When
not.
I
It's not
step
warm.
out,
really.
it's not
The
warm.
only positive is that I'm not waking up in the dark. I'm not going to bed in the dark. That's the only difference I'm seeing here. Is that the
Wait.
sun's up. Because in the
Wait,
winter.
surely you're going to bed in the dark.
Yes, we are. You guys are acting like I don't go. No, you guys are acting like you don't know my bedtime. You know
No,
my bedtime.
it's still getting dark early.
What? Our bed's 9 o'clock.
No, it's getting dark. It's getting dark at like 5, 6.
Yeah.
So still.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
7.
What time
Yeah.
are we going to bed?
I've been going to bed a little bit late now because I've been out with my.
Bless her. You
No, I've been going to bed a little bit later now.
What time? 9:15. 9:15.
No, it's good though. It's
Yeah.
good to get a long sleep.
Do you wake
When
up?
we were
Sorry, you know what's kidding me?
I was-
If she wakes up not in the dark, I mean she wakes up later.
no.
Because it's not dark around. What time
I
do
was
you
going
wake
to
up?
say,
I wake up.
Yeah,
I wake up. Well, recently I've been waking up about like 7.
Oh, it's dark now.
I
That's
feel like
it.
it's dark.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yes,
you've created a whole new
Oh, actually,
reality.
no, to be fair, it's starting to get like around 7 now.
When it was like in the winter, it would be 8 o'clock and it would be still be
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll give it to you.
We'll let you have it.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys.
You're very welcome.
True. What else is there to look forward to this year?
Oh, well, we've got Priti Patel's The Police Bill to look forward to, the crime bill. What is it, the policing something?
Policing bill.
Yeah, the policing bill.
Kill the bill.
Yeah.
Um,
Didn't know that was a thing. I like it.
yeah.
It's always
That's the thing. I'm actually furious, and I don't even know where to start because
Should we go around in a circle about what we're the most mad about?
yeah.
I'm mad that the government is using her. Well, it's violating her because they're coming out and making us say all the awful things and putting like all the bills that no one else wants to do in government. And so then the person, the villain, is another woman of colour. No one can look at her and say, oh, she's done well, because they're making her do all the awful work. And she's exceptionally because she's a narcissist, because she feels important and powerful for it. And I have nothing other than to say that it's actually sickening and scary.
Yes. So, I don't like the policing bill because I think, like, we've always had injustices in the world, right? Yeah, you can't really stop that much. But what you've always had, well, we've been privileged enough so far to have is a right to protest. You can always protest everything. But now when you put a cap on that, that's just the beginning. And the wording is so vague that really and truly what's going to jeopardize most is going to be, because who has more reason to protest? It's going to be people of colour, people who perhaps aren't the top 1%, top 10%. It's
And women.
and women, because you're oppressing us, mate. Like, you don't protest for banter, so now when you're taking that away, that's a problem. Another issue is also that Priti Patel is just a model minority, and when people look at POC, that's what they're going to see. And just that people of colour, that whole term of BAME is actually useless, because people's experience is so different. Like, colour doesn't determine everything. Your social standing and your wealth also determines a lot. So, like, the life that Priti Patel's having is not going to be a life of another British person who might have come from an Indian heritage. It's not going to be the same, right? But what she's done is almost said, like, become a model minority and then said that racism doesn't exist and then gone on to do this. Yeah, I'm furious at her as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hear what you're saying in terms of maybe the government are using her as the face of a lot of these things that are really oppressive towards people of colour and women because she is a woman of colour. But at the same time, I think she has personal accountability, and I personally just think you shouldn't anyway. Maybe she is, but you shouldn't do things that you don't believe in. And so her being the forefront of this policing bill, and talking so passionately, and like Shreya mentioned, saying that she's never experienced racism, so she doesn't understand why BLM protests are happening and stuff like that, and trying to speak over other black people, not even being a black person on top of that, again goes to the point of Shreya saying BME is just, I'm not gonna swear.
Yeah.
But it's just rubbish. Like it's actually ridiculous. And then when you look at this policing bill, it's not going to actually be put into effect fairly either. So if you look at it and you say, one, it's oppressing people's freedom of speech. But two, they're not actually going to use a policing bill to police fascists
or EDL
or racist. They're not actually going to do that. So when you saw what happened last summer, right, when all of these people decided to defend statues because that's more important than human life according to them, the police weren't as aggressive in policing them as they have been to the protests that have happened recently, or the vigil that happened for Sarah Everard and the protests that happened for BLM. They were more aggressive in policing them. But when it came to EDL and the This Is England lot,
that's their mate, isn't it?
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? The police presence was a completely different thing, and we saw that. So I just think not only is the policing bill absolutely ridiculous in terms of freedom of speech and the rights of human beings, and it goes against democracy in its purest form. Not only is it doing that, but it's also going to be not even put in fairly. It's not going to be equitable. That's what I was looking for.
They just want to pick and choose.
Yeah, they said, they'll the paper bag test. That's exactly what they're doing. They're going to compare the person to the paper bag and they're going to say, they're darker than this protest, if not freedom of speech.
That's the thing, because especially with the language as well, like, what was it? Significant annoyance and stuff like that. It's like, it's actually going to be ridiculous. Probably the mere sight of a black person annoys me. Let's be very honest. So what now? Like, the standards are going to be wayward. So I when I was reading like all about it, I was actually like, the more I was reading, the more I was screw facing, the more my heart was getting heavy. And I was like, I can't actually believe this is what I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like, how does it even make sense?
Can I also add, what UK and the USA have done often is when these bills are passed in other countries like the Middle East, they'll be like, we need to go protect them, and they'll go and bomb them. So who's going to come and do that for us?
I should repeat that one.
That's actually what they did. They utilise these bills as a way to go through and set up a military base camp and then hurt civilians, and then they'll be like, that's an outright disgusting show off.
They talk about other countries.
That's
a very,
and
very
then they
good
just switch the narrative when it comes to them.
Face your front.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say, because the UK actually, roses really smell like poo. That's what I'm going to say, because it's actually BS. Like, I've had enough. And on top of that, when they debated it in Westminster or whatever, you've got obviously like Labour trying to say this is actually ridiculous. They're trying to say that this bill has been put in to protect women. Yeah. And that's what they led on. And I think I was reading
Makes sense.
Does it even mention women? Where does it?
Sorry,
I don't know if they think we're stupid.
No, they do. But considering the education system they give us, I think that it's on purpose. They don't, don't encourage us to have healthy conversations like this or question them from younger, and then obviously do wayward stuff.
Or engage in politics.
And then do wayward stuff in the future, so we're not educated about it. But I think one of the things is really confusing. Is when I saw the protest, I was shocked to see the way that they were handling women. Because these women are coming out saying, we are being manhandled, we're being killed, and men are being violent towards us. And guess what the police came and did?
Do you know what was mad? Well, especially this case, it was for the killing of Sarah, right? And she was killed by a police officer. So the police decided, and it was a vigil. It wasn't even a protest. It was literally people were there to show respect. I didn't see them manhandling Kate Middleton.
No, they didn't.
They apparently uprooted the flowers that were around, and the Met Police have come out and say, well, nothing wrong was committed. And that's how society values women's lives and like the stand that they stand for. And do you know what's mad with the Priti Patel thing is, there was this image and it was like all these women protesting, and it's like a protest led to you having the right to even have this job.
Yeah.
And you're stopping people from protesting. Like, that's what's mad.
It's ridiculous.
A woman, she wouldn't have been able to vote or like, own land. B, a woman of colour, she's not white, she wouldn't have been able to, again, less so, vote or own land. So I feel like, look what was accomplished because women sacrificed themselves, women and their allies were protesting and fighting in the good fight, and now you're saying that's wrong.
Can I say something really wild here, guys?
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt in my mind the government's not going to change their mind on this. This is something they want. So is this opportunity for us to take this and say, look, we've been protesting against loads of stuff. Now we need a new technique. We need a technique that is harsher and gets our point across more clearly. If they're not going to let us do it in the way that we've been doing it for a very long time, and we have gained loads of, like you said, there's loads of things, changes that have been made by a protest, but it did take time. Do you think them clamping down on us acting in this way will result in us coming out in a new form and being like getting more things done? Because I think it will take them by surprise the next way we do it.
Yeah,
the next way we
because
get our point across.
I agree because you know, when they talk about the suffrage, they love talking about the suffragettes, and I'm not diminishing the work that they did, but again, it was race didn't factor into that. It was mostly, it's a form of white feminism, right?
Yeah.
So, but what they did wasn't just protest. They were killing themselves. There were all of these, like, there is violence there because if you're not listening to peaceful protests, then what else can a person do?
Yeah.
And then when that does happen, the media is controlled by the government, so it ends up being this thing of like, oh, and they'll put a face to the violence, and it won't be a white person, and it won't be a person that they think is good. It'll be like what everybody would be like, yeah, that's a common enemy. And that's what they did with like Malcolm X. That's why Martin Luther King was a better alternative. But Martin Luther King much later on realised peaceful protests weren't working.
That's why they killed him.
That's why they killed him.
Yeah.
The FBI killed him, and like it was proven because the King family sued and they won the case. And again, we're not taught that. So I remember growing up thinking Malcolm X was a radical, was a terrorist. That's what they told. That's what they showed us the good, you know, good, like, I don't know what the word is, freedom fighter, and then the evil radical, which is Malcolm X. But I feel like radical is the only way it's going to work because it's actually ridiculous and it's only getting worse and worse and worse.
If we're not allowed to protest, stop doing everything.
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, I saw someone say protesting illegal. When do we start rioting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw something. Somebody quoted that and they were like, "Not me. Yeah, be safe there."
No, I think of things a bit more radical. I remember, not me, but like Margaret Thatcher was in power, and obviously she was destroying the north of England, and they striked. And it's not until the lights went out in Parliament and they realised there was a problem. And we, as the people, have power. We've been protesting quite peacefully. They've now stopped us from doing that. We'll stop working for them.
Yeah, but
Everyone, stop.
what's crazy? What the hard part with that is actually it's not everybody who's been protesting. The majority still remains like.
But it's enough. If everyone that went to that process was in a certain field and just stopped working, that's enough people. If all the black people in the world, in the UK, cared enough to stop working for a day, England's done.
But is it cared enough or is it can they?
Yeah, this is the thing. I definitely think there's a fear, and I think we saw that even with the whole COVID situation and so many people from black and Asian other ethnic minority backgrounds being on the front line, and why so many of their deaths were actually they were actually on the front line. So like when you look at it that way, and a lot of the time I remember watching a few people being interviewed about it, like working for the NHS anonymously because they don't want to have to lose their job, and a lot of it was like, we don't want to lose our job, essentially, like that's their income. And the same thing happened with Belly Mujinga. She said she was high risk. She asked for special sort of provisions to be put in place, and she was denied that right, and so she was forced to go to work, and then has been spat on, and we still haven't had any justice for her, and she's passed away from COVID. So I think the issue a lot of the time is we actually don't have the power, and that's why when we talk about needing allies, it's so important. And my auntie says we don't want allies, we want accomplices, because allies can, you know, go and pick with the wind, because we actually need an accomplice to be like, do you know what, we're gonna take the fire with you.
I think we do have the power. We have the power. I think what the issue is that if we get it wrong, we're screwed. If we get it right, we're free. And when we think about it, like slavery, we had the power. There was probably one white slave master to 100 slaves. It could have been overturned.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been overturned. And an example of
And
this is
I was
Haiti.
going to say, and there were revolts, and I think that's what eventually led to them realizing that it was becoming like uneconomic, like
Yeah.
not economic to keep slaves because we were starting to revolt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it would have taken, the revolts would have taken a lot longer than, again, like Abraham Lincoln. If he at the level of presidency did say no, this needs to be something, he took the whole
No, but
country to civil war.
Haiti freed
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah,
So it's possible, but they had they risked everything. It was
Yeah.
if this went wrong, they were done for.
Yeah.
And if this went right, they got their freedom in their own country. And I think if we do this here, if it goes right,
but do you know what the chance for us to get it right would have been to elect Jeremy Corbyn? Because that man, like, honestly, because if you, like, I've been reading into like decolonized literature and things like that, and you know how like Fidel Castro is shown as this massive dictator. He was amazing. He was really good, and communism is shown to be like this like scary thing because that's how media portrays it. But and like when Corbyn said he wanted to nationalize things like mail, water, rail, and he wanted to nationalize and make everything like Wi-Fi free. It literally took only 4 months to be proven that Wi-Fi is actually important. Like so many kids' futures have been
Put hot on the line.
put on the line still till today because it's just not good enough.
Yeah.
Like compared to private education or like people who could even afford fibre optics or whatever. It's just not the same. So I feel like what he wanted was actually what we needed, and that's why, and he was for the people and he didn't care to play the game. That's why the media scrutinised him, brought up some anti-Semitic thing that wasn't even his fault,
Completely
of the
baseless.
party, baseless, made him like this laughing stock.
which is mad because I'm part of the Labour Party myself, and he cannot be responsible for every member in the party.
No.
But what's
That's
madder is
ridiculous.
a prime minister who is the head of the party,
Yeah.
saying racist stuff and still being prime minister.
Yeah.
This is ludicrous.
Racist and
Yeah.
misogynistic.
And
But people
bigoted.
don't
actually
care
just
because
too much.
he ran on get Brexit done.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I'll come back to this, and you guys may have heard me say this before. Scunthorpe voted Tories. A place that was red for so long voted Tories because they ran on Get Brexit Done. And this UK hates black and brown people so much to the detriment of their own self. So they cut off their nose to spite their own face. Economically, they're screwed, but it's fine because Brexit. And the hilarious thing is Brexit's not even getting us out, it's getting more of us in because they now need to go to more Asian and African countries to get the workers that they need because there were so many people that left in the first place. I remember my cousin telling me that international students were being told that they could have more time after they graduate for their visa after Brexit. Why? Because they need us. Same thing Enoch Powell did when he went to the West Indies, got all of these people to come and help, all the people from Jamaica, all of the Caribbean to help after the war, and then you want to do the whole Rivers of Blood speech and create more racial tension. It's actually bullshit. That's enough.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think that's exactly what it is. When they were thinking we need to get them out, when Nigel Farage was saying them out, they weren't thinking them who look white passing. They weren't thinking Polish, Romanian. Maybe some were, but they weren't thinking Czech and things like that. They were thinking hijab. They were thinking brown. They were thinking black, and they were thinking Islamophobia. That's what they were thinking.
they're not racist.
Yeah.
The UK is not racist.
It's tolerant.
You
Tolerant.
Do you know what? I would actually entertain a Brexit conversation if they came to me with facts, other than immigration. Let's talk. If you want to talk about policies, let's talk about policies. But you can't. You
No,
can't.
it was a
Everything
stupid
running on
decision.
Is on immigration. It's ludicrous.
They don't know what they voted
They
for.
didn't.
No.
And immigration is not even going to be stopped because what you need now, what you're having to do is run these expensive initiatives to get more nurses in and things like
sponsor
that.
programs
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And you're spending fiscal money and you're increasing austerity. And you know what's mad, Naima, your point about getting Brexit done is so like great because those people who aren't educated on the matter, because the media doesn't speak in the language of normal people, they speak in political jargon. They can understand get Brexit done. But when Jeremy Corbyn was talking about increasing tax bracket, they couldn't. It wasn't said in a way where people could access the information.
Yeah.
When he said we're going to nationalise rail men, they didn't understand what that actually meant. Because people couldn't grasp it because it was a more complex issue. And they didn't give the same dumbed down version, right? And I think that was part of the issue.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. Like, I think it goes back to education again.
Yeah.
It goes back to purposely not educating us, so we don't understand what is being said, and even more importantly, feel confident enough to read and interpret information.
It is
Because
intentional because like why is it that everybody gets to age like 21 and they're like, I actually don't know anything about how this country works.
And then they
Like-
actively don't vote. And it's our voices that matter. Like, we need young people to engage in politics. Sorry, I cut you off.
I forgot my point.
But no, but it's so true what you're saying. Like, I speak to so many young people, like a lot of friends and stuff, even at work, and they're just like, you know, well, I don't want to vote because I don't want to vote for someone whose policies I don't really understand. And then they don't really take the time to actually look into it. And so if you don't do that, and at that age, obviously before lockdown, people, you know, care about their careers or care about, you know, going out and having fun and going on holidays and stuff like that. It just seems like an extra task to maybe actively look into politics, because it seems like such a faraway thing, and like you said, they have so much jargon around it that you just think, you know what, I can't be bothered, and they actively put in this effort to make people so disengaged from politics. But it's our voices that matter, and it's so frustrating because realistically the whole point of a democracy is that the masses influence a minority, and that's literally not what's happening.
No.
And
So-
it's just jarring.
beyond like getting involved in politics, just even understanding what is being said.
Mm.
This was like, if we look at coronavirus, the whole situation, tell me why people couldn't understand the terms that were being said on the TV and understanding what they were saying with the data.
Yeah.
Because that is so important, that's our health.
Yeah.
And we've all taken science classes up to GCSE, so we should all have a basic knowledge about what's being said, and what they're using is the fact that they've done the data interpretation for us and interpreted it in the way that they want to present it,
Yeah.
so we don't have to do it ourselves. And there's many other examples, like you said with Brexit, understanding European politics. We live in Europe, we should understand the policies and decisions that we have, and the laws that we have to follow.
Yeah.
Do we even
Literally,
know the
they
law?
just put this amount back to the NHS on buses, and that was it.
Yeah,
that's what
enough.
people were running with.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think what you said is, that's what my point was before. Like what you were saying was really true. Like it's all intentional.
Yeah.
It's no wonder why most people don't know or understand all these things.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like if I didn't do economics, like I wouldn't have known a lot of these things. I wouldn't have understood a lot of these things. So it's literally only like that's the main reason I actually started to get into like the
And-
whole politics or like that whole economic knowledge, I guess.
Yeah.
Literally just because of that. But
And-
most people don't know,
Yeah.
especially like until they start having these conversations.
I feel scared and intimidated when they talk about GDP and whatever on the TV, because I haven't got that education, and it's not because I couldn't have learnt it, it's because I wasn't given the opportunity to have
100%.
learnt it.
Because all GDP is basically saying is how much things are being produced. Like, all it's just showing you how much the economy is booming. That's all it's showing you. But they could say that, right? They could easily point it to a very simple explanation. Or what they could do is in year 7, teach us economics, part of it. Like, in Nepal, that's what they do. They teach us environment, health, politics, and economics and social studies, because it's important. Why? Because if you look at, like, the cabinet, everybody's done PPE.
Yeah.
Because that's what actually matters.
Yeah.
Right, for them, and nobody. Whereas even A levels, not every single college or sixth form will even offer those courses.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won't even know what that means. When you think politics, you just think, oh yeah, politicians. But there's actually so much more to that.
Yeah.
Every single the reason why you live a certain way, the reason why you're paid a certain amount, is all due to politics. So you cannot not engage with it. It's like you're gonna be like, do you know what? And I think it's even a gross kind of privilege when people say, oh. Yeah, but what is that really going to do? Because yes, okay, you're not voting for this person. Now look at the government that's in power, who hates immigrants, and now people's lives will be displaced as a result of that. So the fact that you, with your British passport and British citizenship and your white colour, feel like you don't have to engage with politics because the politics will never be that terrible for you is absolute disgustingly privileged.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of a conversation that I had at work. And one of the guys was like, it was a bit quiet. One of the guys was like, oh, ask me a question, but please let's like not talk about politics. I'm like, my whole life is politicized.
Everything.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's I feel as if I'm at the point now where I almost don't have a choice, because so many issues either affect me as a black person or as a woman. How can I not speak out on it? Do you know what I mean?
This is another thing that I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess, here. But another thing I think they've done is a tactic of not making us speak about politics. And if you look at like football matches, they're like one of the only games that they separate fans, and their hooliganism and their bad behaviour is crazy. It's because it makes a us and them sort of situation. And in places where like rugby, where the fans mix and mingle, I mean, you can develop those healthy and natural competitive, conversations. Then they don't get to that stage. And what when people say, oh, we don't talk about politics here and all of this, what you're doing is creating a divide. And then you get an office that don't talk about anything like that. And then next thing you know, you're sat next to someone that's voted Brexit or says all lives matter. Because no conversations were had before.
Yeah.
And it creates this us and them. And I think
And
that's
that's all about men.
yeah.
Just quietly, as they go to grab a bit of coffee. Yeah, no, it's disgusting. And I think this whole like believing it being reserved or talking about politics not being professional, I think is also another lie. It is not true. Everything you like what Naima said. If you think your existence is not political, then that again, you are sleeping and you are just privileged because it doesn't affect you. But Boris Johnson coming into power is actually. It's going to kill people.
Yeah.
Austerity kills people.
Yeah. And it's even got so extreme that we're not thinking about people in different countries. People are dying in this England.
Here.
They're dying right here. And so you can't even now pretend that you don't see it.
Yeah.
You can't even now pretend that children are not going to school without something to eat. You can't pretend now.
Yeah,
But
and
there still are a lot of them.
yeah,
And literally, if these issues don't touch them, they don't acknowledge it. That's what it is.
yeah. And just giving Marcus Rashford like a merit distinction does not excuse the fact that he, a footballer, had to step in where the government, who actually need to look after the welfare of children, like their human right is food, and the taxes I pay, like how dare you?
People were saying, it's not the government's job to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually
literally
that's why you're right.
the point of government. Who do you actually think you are? Like,
What are they supposed to do?
No, literally,
Boris is
what
doing the
else
best
is
he's
not
doing.
that? That's the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Do you know when
That's
they're
really
like,
the bare minimum.
Boris is doing the best that he's doing? He's not a young
If
child.
this is the best, get out.
No.
Boris, if this is the best that you can do, I beg you resign. No, like,
Leave.
seriously, get out. This is enough is enough. Like,
That's what you say to a child who's trying to draw it as like write B and he writes D instead. No. This is a prime minister.
Running a whole country.
A whole country. I cannot believe it.
Responsible for lives.
And
doing the
deaths.
best we can.
Yeah, no, it's useless. Some jobs you just can't be good at. Like, you just can't just
give it up.
Yeah, like you just can't try to get better on the job. Like if you're a surgeon and you're killing 25 people out of 25 operations, they won't say he's doing the best he can. They're gonna have committees.
He's getting investigated.
Yeah.
Yes.
100.
Yeah.
Boris, it's not for you, babes.
Yeah, for real.
Can I link this back to It's Coming Home, please? As a nice little wrap up. And this is what I mean is that you just can't believe. Believing is the first step. Believing is the first step. And like I said, you need talent, skills, and all the other things to actually do the job at hand. And I think the British optimism to think that football's coming home is the same reason why Boris is in power.
I was just triggered because I was screaming, it's coming home on top of my head.
Do you know what?
It's so true, Serena.
So was I.
It's so true. It's just literally the great in Britain has gassed them, and that's why we're in this situation.
And we put the great in front of it. No one else did.
It's the great. If it was just called Britain, I don't think they'd be this gassed.
Yeah.
That's my 2 pence. Make sure you engage in the conversation. Follow us on social media at UntoldLTD. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.